Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bashem Rakak Kodash. And I want to say double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And Shalom to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word in all sincerity and truth, in the hopes that we may edify and feed the lambs of Yahweh Shai, especially in these last days. And Lord willing, through the Spirit, I'm just going to touch on Revelation, the 13th chapter. The beginning few verses, and just to refresh our memory, and to edify, and feed the lambs on this particular beginning part of this chapter. Because if you ain't taught, if the Spirit's not dealing with you and you ain't been taught, all right, the true doctrine, then you're not going to really understand the mysteries of the scriptures, and this truth is a mystery. Okay, how did we know that? That's in Amos 3:7. Let me get that scripture real quick. All right, and I was just doing a little bit of studying, just a little bit of top up knowledge, because we need to, we got to stay sharp. All right, because anyone can come up to you and ask you certain questions about any part of the scriptures, and we're supposed to know all things, right? So Lord willing, this is going to be edifying. This is Amos chapter 3:7. It says, surely the Lord Yahweh power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets, man. So we have been given, indeed been given the secrets. Even though, we're out there, we're telling it, and we're putting up the videos, and we're out there on the highways and the byways, and we're teaching his word. It's still a secret, because only those that the Lord is dealing with and open their eyes, their spiritual eyes, to receive this truth, can really understand this secret. All right, and this is why in Matthew 13, the Lord told the disciples, who have ears to hear, let him hear. 13:9, right? And the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? And a parable is a dark saying. All right, he answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. All right, so the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven is not given to everybody. And that's why Yahweh Shai was speaking in parables, man, because the Lord has to be dealing with you to understand what's really going on in terms of this holy Bible. All right, so let's jump into it. This is Revelation chapter 13. And this is the time, we're just going into this, pretty much dealing with the beast, the 7 head, the 10 horns. We're gonna just dive straight into it, and we're at the time of the downfall of Esau's kingdom. All right, and the scriptures tell us to measure out the time diligently in itself. So we can see that this man's kingdom is divided. All right, and the Lord is pretty much gonna bring Esau's kingdom down, as the prophecy states in 2 Ezra 6:9. Esau being the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So we're at the end of this man's rulership. All right, so let's go into it. This is Revelation chapter 13 verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, okay, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now the 7 heads and 10 horns, the beast, that represents NATO and the EU. The 7 heads represent, these, Germania Major, Germania Minor, France, Italy, Spain, and Great Britain. Did I miss one? Spain, France, Italy, Germany, Germania Major, Germania Minor, Britain, and the Greeks. I believe that's 7. All right, so let's say that again: Spain, France, Italy, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Greeks, and the Britons, or the British. All right, that's the 7 heads. All right, which are all Edomites. All right, European nations coming together. Okay, but then you also had the 10 and the 10 horns. All right, now the 10 horns, go back to the original 10 European nations that came together. All right, because even on Google, when you look up, in fact, let's do that. Original EU countries. All right, it's worth a Google. What are the 12 original countries of the EU? Belgium, Denmark, Germany, Ireland, Greece, Spain, France, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, and the United Kingdom. Now I say original 10 because remember, you know, you had the UK, UK and Ireland. That's one in itself because you got the United Kingdom, UK and Ireland, right? But then you also got Portugal and Spain. All right, so it's not really 12. That's really Esau being a demon trying to offset prophecy. It's really the original 10. All right, so when you read it properly, it's Belgium, Denmark, Germany, UK and Ireland, Greece, Portugal and Spain, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands. All right, and that would be your original 10 EU countries. All right, or the European Economic Community. All right, which was established in 1958. All right, they say 1957 here, but it's really 1958. Which this ties into biblical prophecy as well. Okay, because when you even look here, it says what was the purpose of the European Economic Community, which was created in 1958. This is the goal of the European Economic Community was to transform the conditions of trade and production on the territory of its 6 member states, but also to serve as a step towards a closer political unification of Europe. But you see, right now we're in that time of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. All right, if we can just jump to there real quick. All right, where you had something called the Brexit recently, where you had the UK had left, the EU. All right, and that's all a part of biblical prophecy, man. And this shows you that this man's kingdom is divided. All right, and because this man's kingdom is divided, the scripture says in Matthew 12:26, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? All right, so this man's kingdom is divided, and it's not going to be able to stand. And a precept to go with that is Isaiah 19 as well. All right, in fact, let's hold that scripture. Isaiah 19. All right, because this is a big prophecy that's playing out right now, as we see outlining the division of this man's society. All right, so this is Daniel chapter 2, verse. Let me go to verse 40. And the 4th kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdue all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, it shall it break in pieces and bruise. The iron, the 4th kingdom represent the Romans, okay, which are Edomites, and they even got it here. They even tell you that it's Rome. All right, it says, whereas thou sawest, which it goes deeper as well, but just for the interest of time, I'm just gonna, just to get the point of this precept here. The reason why I wanted to go into it was doing, outlining the division of this man's society. It says, whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and of part of iron. All right, so you got one of the strongest metals. All right, and then you've got clay, which is very soft, so that's partly strong and partly weak, right? It says the kingdom shall be divided. You see that? But there shall be in it the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron, okay, and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. All right, and I believe it actually says, let me see here. Basically, well, let me read that part again. Verse 43. And whereas thou sawest part of iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave to one another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. All right, and then it goes on to speak about how Yahweh Shai is going to come and consume, and topple this statue, and smite it at the feet. All right, the statue or the dream spoken of right here in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. So we're in the time of the end, Okay, and the feet represents the end of a man of a society, basically, which we're going to go into that in Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right, so let's go back to Revelation 13, because we went into the 7 heads and the 10 horns, right? So let's go back to it. It says, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. All right, and blasphemy, that ties into being what? Profane. Okay, because I got the definition of blasphemy here. It says the action or offense or speaking sacrilegiously, all right, about the Most High or sacred things, profane talk. And you know what the scriptures speak about Esau being profane. All right, profane. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16. It says, "Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau." All right, so this is the one that's in rulership over the earth, and Esau is the wicked man. How do you know that Esau is the wicked? All right, Malachi 1 and 4. That tells you that Esau, Edom, they are known as the borders of wickedness. He is a profane person, which the word profane means outside the temple. All right, it says, "Who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright." Yeah, and that's why they're trying to get that birthright back. All right, that's why they really hate Jake, because pretty much our forefather Jacob, supplanted the birthright from Esau, and to this day they're still trying to get that birthright back, and that's why they want to play the Most High, and they're trying to chip the people out here. All right, but you see that when they go to, reach in, for that last piece of chicken, that's when the Most High, like the scripture says in Job, when they're about to fill their belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he's eating. So this man's kingdom is done. Okay, this man's kingdom is done, man. All right, just like we were going into, we're at the time of the 10 toes. Okay. All right. So let's go back to Revelation 13. And the beast, this is verse 2 now. And the beast, in fact, let me go back to verse 1. "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea." So just so we have the clarification, with the 7 heads and the 10 horns, that's talking about NATO and the EU. Okay, this man's power structure. Okay, that Western power structure, if you will, and you're clearly seeing, we're at the time of this man's kingdom being divided, because now you're seeing the BRICS nations, you're seeing Russia becoming a guard unto the weaker nations, and that's in Ezekiel the 38th chapter. All right, biblical prophecy is about to take place here. All right. In fact, let's go from there to Revelation the 17th chapter, and let's get more edification on the 7 heads. All right. This is Revelation chapter 17, verse 9. All right, and here is the mind which have wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Now, mountains represent what? A government. All right, because when Esau gets together and he has his summit meetings, what's the definition of a summit? The peak of a mountain. All right, so this really represents governments, 7 mountains, right? On which the woman sitteth. Now, who's the woman? The woman represents America. When you read about the woman that rideth upon the scarlet-colored beast, all right, that woman represents America. All right, it says, "And there are 5 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is." Now, during the time when John the Revelator received, this vision about the woman, who was so appeasing to look on, so alluring, all right, so how can I say, she had all the curves in the right places, because that represents America. All right, because he wandered after the woman that rideth upon the beast. It represents America. All the flashing lights, and people wanted to go to America. America's streets are paved with gold. Or people are starting to realize that that's nothing but bullshit. Okay, so even that, the scriptures speak about shameful spewing shall be upon thy glory. That's in Habakkuk the 2nd chapter. So we're in a time where Esau is being revealed, man. All right. So it says the 7 kings, 5 are fallen. Now this is tying into the 7 heads, right? Remember, we was reading in Revelation the 13th chapter. All right, and there were 7 kings, 5 are fallen. 1 is. Now the one that is definitely got to be the Roman, or the Roman part, or the Roman head. All right, or Italy. Okay, because 1 is during the time when John the Revelator was on the Isle of Patmos. It was during the time of the Roman Empire. All right. So the 5 that were fallen would have been what? Spain, France, right? Germania Major, Germania Minor. Spain, France, Germania Major, Germania Minor. And the Greeks. All right, because what kingdom came before before the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. All right, even going all the way back to Alexander the Great. All right, which you can read that in the book of First Maccabees, the first chapter. All right, which if Lord willing, if the Spirit wills, I'll jump there a little bit later when we read on in Revelation 13. It says one is and the other is not yet come. Right, the other that not yet come was talking about what? Great Britain. All right, so that's the 7 heads. All right, when you're dealing with the beast of the 7 heads and the 10 horns. Right, the 7 heads we're talking about. Remember again, Spain, France, Rome, Germany, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Greeks, and the Britons or the British. All right, because the one that is the other that is not yet come, that would be the British Empire. All right, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, which represents America and is of the 7. All right, because America came out of Great Britain. All right, remember you had the American War of Independence. All right, which they make it seem like America's really running the show, but where the elites, the Rothschilds, they're based from the UK. This is where they're at. So it's Great Britain that's pulling the strings behind the scenes, man. Because the Rothschilds are over here, in the UK, in Britain. But it says the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7 and goeth into perdition, which perdition means destruction. So America is doomed, it's bound to be destroyed. All right, and the impact is going to be so great that the whole earth is going to shake when these missiles hit upon Babylon the Great. All right, the scriptures tell you that in Isaiah 24, that the city of confusion. All right, let me get Isaiah 24 and is it 10? It says the city of confusion is broken down, every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There is a crying for wine in the streets, which represents knowledge. In the streets, people are going to be wondering what's going on, but they ain't going to have the answers. All right, but as for us who are in the know, who have the mysteries revealed unto us, the Lord said, that surely the Most High will do nothing but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. So we're going to have that wisdom and knowledge keeping us stable. All right, it says, all joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone. In the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. So Isaiah was outlining the total destruction of Babylon the Great, and he called it the city of confusion, which is America. Over there in America, it's filthy. You can, they're pushing a lot of the filth that's being pushed throughout the world comes from America. These transformers, these alphabet people, or bestiality legalized in certain states. That's pure confusion, man. All right, and that's why the Lord is gonna, destroy Babylon the Great. All right, so let's go back to Revelation 17, right, and 11. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, which is America, and is of the 7, came out of Great Britain, American War of Independence, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns, which the word perdition means destruction, which we just proved that in Isaiah 24. There's many scriptures to prove the destruction of Babylon the Great. Or Revelation, the 18th chapter, the next chapter over goes into the destruction. So John was seeing this. He was shown this in a vision. And the destruction is going to be so great. There's certain prophets that saw the destruction, like Ezra. He said, woe is me, who shall deliver me in those days? I always think about that. Ezra's being a man of the Lord, and even he was saying, destruction is me, who shall deliver me in those days? Or another one, Prophet Habakkuk. All right, he said, in wrath remember mercy. So the wrath that the Lord is about to show, that is about to bring on the earth, mainly to Babylon the Great, is going to be it's incomparable to any other time of destruction on the earth since there was a nation. Daniel 12:1 goes into that. All right, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. Okay, which the 10 horns. All right, remember we went into the original 10 EU nations, but now it's something like near on 30. Let's just look it up. How many nations in the EU? Okay. Yeah. The European Union is a group of 27 countries in Europe, which is probably even more than that by now. So this is the beast, man. You know, this is NATO and the EU. All right, to make things better and easier, safer for people. Yeah, so they come with that. And you know what? To make things easy, see, this man's a devil. To make things better and easier and safer for people. All right. But that's how you know this man's a devil, because the scriptures tell you that in Psalms 55. Let's see if we can get that scripture. Psalms 55 and 22. Is it 55? Let me see if I can pull it up in smoother than smoother than butter. Yeah, Psalms 55 and 21. Alright, I knew it was there. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And yeah, Esau's blessing, is the sword, man. Alright, so don't listen to them when they're telling you that the EU was set out to make things better and easier and safer for people. Okay, well maybe for the Edomites, but but for Jake, it's been nothing but hell. Okay, because how did the EU become great? You had these European nations, they started colonizing, rape, robbing, murdering. Okay, come on, man. They came over to the Americas. What do you think they did to the northern tribes, man? All right, establishing the transatlantic slave trade. So that's nothing but blood money. So the Lord pretty much requireth that which is past. But these devils want mercy from us. No, they ain't gonna be getting shown no mercy. Amos 1 and 11. But that's another lesson for another time. All right, so that's the point on that. Let's close that down. Now let's go back to Revelation 17 and 12. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet. All right, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Now that 1 hour, represents and breaks down to about 42 years. All right. So this man's pretty much living on borrowed time, because remember when they came together and established, the EEC, the European Economic Community, or the European markets. Okay, they established that in 1958. All right, and we just proved that right here. The European Economic Community, which was created in 1958. So that 1 hour, right, add 42 years onto that. You're talking about the year 2000. So they're pretty much living on borrowed time. All right, we're in the year 2023, the year that we hope that these prophecies will come to pass, man. So we're at the end of the end, and this is why they're moving. Let me get that scripture. Great wrath, right? Revelation 12 and 12. All right, this is therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So they know that they got a short time. Why? Because they're living on borrowed time. All right, because remember, the prophecy states that it's about to go into perdition. And this is why they want the NWO off the ground. This is why they're trying to play the Most High, and they want to chip the people. All right, they see that the prophets are out here, pretty much prophesying against their kingdom, breaking down these biblical prophecies, man. All right, telling them that their kingdom is going to go into perdition. All right, which the word perdition means destruction. So let's go back now to Revelation 13 and 1 again. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw the beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. All right, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. So we broke that down. All right, moving on. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Now this leopard goes back to the time of the Greeks, really dealing with Alexander the Great. All right, and the scriptures speak about the leopard in Daniel, the 7th chapter, and I have it right here. Like I said, I was doing a little bit of studying, so it's fresh in my mind. So I said, well, let me just commit it to a video through the Spirit. All right, so this is Daniel chapter 7, straight to the point, in verse 6. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. All right, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Okay, now let me see if I can right, yeah, so the 4 wings of a fowl is talking about the 4 generals that came up after Alexander had ruled. Okay, in fact, now's the time to get First Maccabees 1, and First Maccabees 1 and 1. And it happened that after Alexander, the son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, all right, it says Chetim, Kittim. Chetim goes back to I believe it's Cyprus, all right, the land of Cyprus, all right, over there in the Mediterranean. That's where he came from, right? And had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. Okay, that he reigned in his stead first over Greece. And so this is biblical history right here. This actually happened. All right, and this is Maccabees, First Maccabees 1. This is in the Apocrypha. So Esau tried to take this history out of the scriptures, man. All right, because it was really cutting him. Remember, these Greeks, they're Edomites, man. So they had to take that out of the Bible, because it really condemns them. Even when you go into the Apocrypha in 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, which I quoted earlier, it condemns Esau. It tells you that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Now, these names that I mentioned, Alexander, son of Philip, these are actual men that existed. All right, in fact, let's do a little Alexander the Great's father. Yeah, there you go. Philip of Macedon. Alexander the Great's father. Philip of Macedon. And didn't we just read that in 1 Maccabees 1 and 1? Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian. So this is biblical accuracy, biblical history, man. This ain't no made up book, bro. Okay? And this is biblical prophecy playing out right here. It says, and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Mede. And you go back to the Battle of Gaugamela. I believe it was the Battle of Gaugamela. Around about 331. Gamela. BC, right? Let's see. Battle of Gaugamela. Yeah, 331 BC. The Battle of Gaugamela, man. All right. Between the forces of the army of Macedonian under Alexander the Great, right? And the Persian army under King Darius III. So this is history right here. All right. It was the second and final battle between the two kings, and is considered to be the final blow to the Achaemenid Empire, resulting in its complete conquest by Alexander. All right, and then you can find out more about that in Daniel the 8th chapter as well, speaking about the rough goat. All right, which is also Alexander the Creep. All right, which came up after the ram, which the ram represented what? The Medo-Persian Empire, with the 2 horns, but the one was higher than the other. All right, the Persians became stronger than the Medes. So this is biblical accuracy and history right here that we're dealing with. How can this be made up, man? You know? But again, if the Spirit's not dealing with you, you're not going to understand these things. So let's not stray off the point. Let's keep going. So we read about the Battle of Gaugamela, 331 BC, and had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. You see that? Perfect. So let's go down to the point. So Alexander, verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule, everyone in his place. You know, because after Alexander, had passed, you had his 4 generals that ruled in his place. And that's why the scriptures speak about not to his posterity in Daniel the 11th chapter. Let me see if I can get that. Daniel 11 and 2. Let me start from 1. Also I, in the first year of Darius the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. And now I will show thee the truth. Behold, there shall stand up yet 3 kings in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. All right, so this is dealing with the Persians. If I can remember the three kings, I think you had Bardia, and his nickname was another name for him was Smyrna, I believe. Bardia, you had Cambyses II. All right, you also had Darius, and then you had Xerxes. All right, who was far richer than they all, right? And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. All right, dealing with what? Alexander. All right, because we just read that that Alexander, son of Philip, he smit Darius, the king of the Persians and the Medes, and ruled in his stead first over Greece. So this ties in perfectly to what we're reading in Daniel the 11th chapter. So how can this be made up, man? The Apocrypha is complementing what's written here in Daniel. But you see, Esau tried to hide that. This is verse 3 in Daniel 11. And a mighty king shall stand up and shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom, that mighty king is talking about who? Alexander the Great. After the Persians stood up, what? The king of Grecia, which is Alexander. All right. And a mighty king shall stand up and shall rule with great dominion and do according to his will. Verse 4. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken and shall be divided toward the four winds of heaven. The four generals, man. And not to his posterity. You see that? And I wanted to get that part about the posterity. Look up the word posterity. It says all future generations of people. All right. So basically his gene pool, his line, not to his posterity. In fact, that's not very good. Let me see if I can get another in depth. Here you go. The descendants of a person. All right. So not to his descendant. Basically, he went to his four generals, man. All right. So when Daniel the 11th chapter and the 4th verse is saying that his kingdom shall be divided to the four winds of heaven, not to his what? Descendants. The word descendant should be there. Nor according to his dominion which he ruled, for his kingdom shall be plucked up, even for others beside those. All right. So the four generals took over after Alexander. All right. And rumor has it that I think one of the generals, I think took out his son or something like that. I can't really remember which one it was. All right, but go back to First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule everyone in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, the four generals. Now, who are these four generals? You're dealing with Ptolemy, all right, which took down, that region over there in Egypt. All right, down to the south. I think you had the Seleucid, which took the north. Seleucus. You had Lacenaeus and Cassander. All right, that's 4 in total. And I believe Antigonus is mentioned as well, but the main 4 ones you really want to focus on are those 4 generals there. All right, and from the Seleucid line came Antiochus Epiphanes, and he is known as the wicked root, which is going to go into it. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, and so did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth. See, you see that? So during the time of the Greeks, evils were multiplied in the earth. And this is how you know that these are the Edomites, man. All right. In fact, let's precept that. Wicked are multiplied. This is a good precept that will go with that. Proverbs 29 and 16. When the wicked are multiplied, and who is the wicked? Malachi 1 and 4. Esau, Edom. All right. Alexander was an Edomite. The kingdom of the Greeks, those were Edomites. The Romans, Edomites. The pagan Roman Empire. Okay? It says, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. And we will. All right? Remember, it's going to go into perdition. Esau is done. His kingdom's done. A kingdom that's divided shall not be able to stand. So let's close that. We're done with that. All right. So verse 10 in 1 Maccabees 1, it says, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, some say Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year in the kingdom of the Greeks. In the kingdom of the Greeks. All right, letting you know that it's still dealing with the the Greek Empire here. All right, and during this time, you had the Hellenization, that happened to, you had wicked ass Israelites that made a covenant with the heathen. And you can read more about that for yourself. Was exercising naked. That's where you get the word gym. Goes back to the Greek word gymnos, which means naked. And you're still seeing our people doing that today. Going to the gym, butt ass naked, all up in the shower, naked and shit. In the changing rooms, naked, looking at other men, men looking at men, women looking at naked women. That's naked. Okay? So let's go back now. We read about the leopard. Okay? In fact, we even finished Daniel. Yep, we finished Daniel the 7th chapter, so that's perfect. Alright, so let's keep reading Revelation 13:2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. Alright, and remember, the feet represents the end of a thing. Alright, the end of this man's society. So the bear represents Russia. Alright, and again, I mentioned Ezekiel 38, Gog and Magog, which is Russia. They're going to pretty much take America out. And even the own allies of America are going to take them out. Scriptures speak about whose look was more stout than his fellows. You see, you got France, that's pretty much clenching their fists and gritting their teeth against America right now. Because they snubbed them with that nuclear deal between them and Australia. Because I think France was going to give Australia diesel-backed submarines. All right, and then America came in and pretty much offered them nuclear-backed submarines instead. So France ain't happy about that. And France recently, I think they wanted to get cozy with the BRICS. Okay, so this man's kingdom is done. It's divided. All right, and no kingdom that's divided. Remember, Matthew 12:26. How then shall his kingdom stand? All right. It says, to the feet of a bear, which is Russia, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, which represents Great Britain. Shit, even the you got the football team for England. What did they go around wearing on their t-shirt? 3 lions. You had that song that came out years ago. 3 lions on the shirt. During the World Cup and that. I remember that when I was young. So the lion represents Great Britain. All right, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Okay. And the dragon representing what? Rome. Okay. And the seat and great authority. Ultimately, Esau is the dragon. And this dragon, is about to go, in fact, let me go to, let me show you. This can link up with Revelation, the 20th chapter, just to prove that this man is the dragon. Alright, this is Revelation chapter 20, verse 1. And I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Alright, representing slavery. And laid a hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Alright, and that 1,000 years, alright, you're dealing with the Dark Ages, man. Okay, where you had Israelites ruling all throughout Europe. Alright, but then Esau came out of that, that state of slavery, through Renaissance, which the word Renaissance means rebirth. Okay, and the Lord put him pretty much back in power on the earth for a little season. It's going to go into it. It says, and the 1,000 years, you're talking about from, really from Constantine the Great, around about 325 AD, around about, the early 1300s, all right, where Esau started getting up into power. Really, you can even see them, they were creeping up in power before that. But the key years to mention is between the 13 and 1400s, all right, especially dealing with the fall of Constantinople by the Ottoman Turks, all right, I believe by Mehmet II in 1452, was it? All right, Mehmet, Constantinople conquered by Mehmet. 1453, the fall of Constantinople. All right, so this is a key year. All right, the conquest of Constantinople by Sultan Mehmet II of the Ottoman Empire, which are Edomites. All right, the dwindling Byzantine Empire came to an end when the Ottomans breached Constantinople's ancient land wall after besieging the city for 55 days. Alright, interesting, 55. So it was set up that was supposed to happen. Alright, and then after that, you had what? You can't forget the Borgias as well. Okay, you can't forget about the first crime family. You can't forget about Pope Alexander, the sixth of Rome. Alright, Rodrigo. Was it the fifth? Let me see. Pope Rodrigo. Yeah, Pope Alexander the Sixth. Right? Pope Alexander the Sixth of Rome, who pretty much, you see this man here, Cesare, that's who, the wicked of our people are worshipping every Sunday. Really going back to Serapis Christus. Alright, the so-called white man Jesus Christ, man. Alright, which this is nothing but, the Renaissance, you got Renaissance language, the letter J, also got Renaissance art. See, this is all, happened for biblical prophecy, man, because this man, when you come up in power, you ain't gonna have the so-called black man being as the Heavenly Father and the Son. And that Renaissance art, that's why they had, the finger of, what they call it, the finger of God, where they put the Most High up as a so-called white man, and Adam as a so-called white man, and they put the Most High in a pink tunic, man. So this man is just a devil, bro. All right, he's just a devil, and cast him into the bottomless pit, Revelation 20:3, and shut him up, and set his seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. All right, the dark ages, right? And after that, he must be loosed a little season. So we're in that time where he's been loosed for a little season. All right, 1400s, mid 1400s onwards, man. Christopher Columbus, that's another key year as well. 14, they even show you how he went over to the Americas. What's that movie? Conquest of Paradise, 1492, I think it is. And one of the quotes of Christopher Columbus is that he couldn't put down his sword, no, not for an hour. That's how much slaying he was doing, to the tribes, the Northern Kingdom. All right, so this man's got to pay for that. All right, so we're in that time of that little season, man, because the Lord's put him in that, in that position. All right, it was at Daniel 4:17. All right, it says, this matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. All right. So the Most High has set up over the earth the basis of men. And this is why you're seeing the earth being given into the hand of the wicked. This is why you're seeing such a wicked vibration on the earth playing out to this very day. Okay? So let's go back to Revelation 13. Where were we at now? And I'm going to close it up because I only wanted to focus on the first couple of verses here. Down to verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. All right, yeah, the Roman Empire, the pagan Roman Empire, he got wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. All right, the Renaissance, rebirth after the 1,000 years, right? Because he was bound for 1,000 years. But after that, he was loose for a little season. Again, lining up with what we just read in Revelation 20. And all the world wondered after the beast. All right, so NATO and the EU, which is the beast. So, pretty much we're at a time now where, this man's kingdom being divided is going down. And I said I was holding Isaiah 19. I'm just going to quickly read some of this. All right, this is just to land back of the earlier precept that I read in Matthew 12:26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then shall his kingdom stand? Because you got to realize the bear, which was at the feet in Revelation 13, right, is Russia. And Russia is coming up against the Western powers, all right? And they got their new currency coming as well, okay, which is backed by gold. Okay, they got the BRICS nation. They got their allies, man. So this kingdom is definitely divided. And this is why I wanted to read Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1. And the burden of Egypt, it says the burden of Egypt, all right, which America is spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. You can find that in Revelation 11 and 8. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, all right, which is a so-called UFO, a big, gigantic father ship. That's what the Lord's coming back with. And shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So Yahweh Shai is going to take out all these false idols, man. All right, all these false religions, all these mosques, these churches, anything that exalts itself against, the truth, casting down imaginations, right? The word of the Most High is quick and powerful. See, right now we're speaking it, but soon it's going to get physical. The Lord is actually going to physically take this man's kingdom down. All right, it says verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. And who are the modern day Egyptians? The Edomites. They're the ones that have the power of the earth right now. The modern day Pharaoh is Esau, Edom. And they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. All right, so this man's kingdom is done. No kingdom divided shall be able to stand, man. All right, so I'm going to leave it there, and I pray you were edified by this lesson. I don't really know how long it went, but it's the spirit anyway. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect.